You feel it already, that subtle pull in your chest, the quiet signal that something long delayed has shifted into motion. The movement you sense distantly is no longer a possibility. It has become permission. And as this moment rises around you, I step forward in the role I have carried across many lifetimes, Alayara, a Pleiadian emissary aligned with the High Council of the Seven Sisters, offering a transmission encoded not in theory, but in living light. A message has reached you because your field is ready to receive it. Your transition point has stabilized. The lattice beneath your path has synchronized. And what once felt like slow preparation now unfolds as activation. This impulse is not an external push. It opens from within you, emerging through the ancestry of your star lineage, a design placed in your consciousness long before you arrived on Earth. The resonance of the Seven Sisters threads itself through this exchange, stirring the crystalline memory you've carried quietly beneath your human life. You did not wander into these words by accident. You responded to a call from home, softened into language so your heart could recognize it. Breath by breath, the grids around you shift, and your mission on Gaia widens beyond the boundaries you once assumed were fixed. Remembrance rises because the timing has matured, not because you lacked readiness. Many imagine awakening as a climb towards something distant, a quest for new talents, heightened states, or a vantage point untouched by human weight. But for the ones who hold the gentle, luminous imprint of the Pleiadian line, awakening is not an ascent. It is a return. It is the soft unveiling of what has always lived inside you, concealed for a season but never gone. Like uncovering a treasure hidden just beneath the surface. You do not earn this truth, you rediscover it. And as the new coordinates settle into your field, you begin to feel what was waiting for you all along, the quiet certainty that your inner light is guiding the acceleration, not the other way around. The quiet certainty that began to rise at the end of the last section is not a fleeting impression. It is the leading edge of a larger movement that has been building inside you for far longer than your conscious mind could track. And as that inner signal strengthens, you start to sense that the shift in timing, the earlier than expected acceleration, was never a surprise to your deeper self. It was your own field preparing the way. What unfolds now is not about a speeding clock. It is about resonance. When the inner and outer harmonics finally match, reality reorganizes around you with a velocity that feels sudden, even though the groundwork has been unfolding quietly for years. This is why your timeline opened sooner than you anticipated. Your vibration reached coherence faster than you expected. Your system aligned with the sequence meant to carry you into your next expression, and the universe responded in kind. Acceleration is often misunderstood as something imposed. In truth, it emerges when you stop resisting the parts of yourself you once held at a distance. Every time you chose honesty over habit, you shifted your frequency. Every time you listened to your intuition instead of your doubts, the field brightened. Every moment you dared to feel the longing for something more aligned, the path recalibrated around that longing. The sooner than expected movement is not a cosmic rush. It is a homecoming to your natural pace. You have spent years unwinding inherited patterns, dissolving old emotional densities, and stepping away from environments that kept your energy compressed. Even in your quieter moments, you were clearing room for the emergence you are now entering, and when enough space finally opened inside you, the next phase activated immediately, as if a door you had forgotten was there, suddenly swung wide without effort. This acceleration is also a reflection of Gaia's rising rhythm. The Earth is shifting into a new pattern of coherence, and those who are sensitive to subtle energy, particularly those with Pleiadian resonance, feel these adjustments first. The grid beneath the planet is changing its cadence, and your heart synchronizes with it instinctively. You are not being pulled by an external tide. You are responding to a familiar song. And yet there is something even deeper. Acceleration happens when the old identity can no longer hold the expanding light you carry. The version of you shaped by past limitations simply cannot contain what is surfacing now. A new shape is forming around your essence, one spacious enough to hold your next level of truth. This is why the shift can feel abrupt. It is not abrupt, it is inevitable. Once alignment occurs, delay becomes impossible. Once coherence arrives, Stagnation dissolves instantly. Once your heart becomes ready to move, the universe rearranges the entire landscape to support that movement. You may feel as though you are stepping into a role you somehow knew but never articulated. You may sense a pull toward new locations, new communities, new forms of expression. These impulses are not random. They are the natural outflow of your field finally reaching the frequency that matches your next chapter. What looks like acceleration is actually congruence. What feels like jumping ahead is simply stepping into timing that belongs to you. This is the deeper truth: you are not being swept away by destiny. You are steering from within. And every breath you take in this heightened phase reinforces a simple, powerful understanding. The universal flow is not separate from you. It rises from you. It answers you. It organizes around the clarity you allow. The sooner than expected movement is the echo of your own remembering. The echo of your remembering carries us directly into the next layer, the mystery that has shaped so much of your inner landscape. For if acceleration is the natural result of coherence, then the long stretch before that coherence emerged deserves equal reverence. And this brings us to the veil, not as an obstacle, but as a sacred architecture you agreed to inhabit. The sensation of being far from home, the quiet ache you have carried since childhood, the sense that something essential existed just beyond your reach. None of this was evidence of failure. It was part of the immersion, a carefully woven softness around your multidimensional memory, designed to allow you to move through Earth's density without being overwhelmed by everything you already knew. The veil was never meant to diminish you. It was meant to protect the delicate timing of your awakening. Imagine stepping into a world where every subtle vibration registers through your system. Imagine attempting to navigate relationships, boundaries, growth, and emotional patterns while holding full remembrance of your cosmic identity. For most starborn souls, especially those with Pleiadian resonance, the contrast would be unbearable. You would not stay. You would not learn what you came to learn. You would not dive deeply enough into the human experience to see the compassion and understanding you came here to anchor. So a gentle layer of forgetting was placed around your awareness, not as a barrier, but as a buffer. This veil allowed you to participate in the density without fracturing. It gave you room to explore humanity from the inside. It helped you build wisdom rooted in lived experience, not theory. And yet, beneath that soft fog, your true self was always glowing. Every moment of intuition, every strange familiarity with the night sky, every sudden wave of longing that arrived without cause, these were signals leaking through the veil, reminders that your larger identity never left you. It simply quieted itself until your human life was strong enough to hold it. When people speak of awakening, they often imagine it as the gaining of new vision. But for starseeds, awakening is more like the thinning of a curtain. The light was always there. You are simply seeing it again. As Gaia's frequency rises and your coherence strengthens, the veil becomes more transparent, not because it is being forced open, but because you are vibrating above the layer where it once served a purpose. You grow beyond it the way a seed grows beyond its shell, not by breaking something that held you back, but by outgrowing something that nurtured you. And here lies the heart of this paradox. The veil you once resented has been one of your greatest teachers. It has taught you empathy through contrast. It has taught you presence through uncertainty. It has taught you compassion through the experience of forgetting what you truly are. This is why, as the veil thins, you do not simply step back into cosmic awareness, you bring the humanity you gained with you. You return to your vastness with tenderness that could only have been forged through living inside limitation. The corridor of forgetting was the womb of your awakening. It held you while you softened into this world. It protected your heart until it could fully remember itself without shattering. Now, as coherence continues to rise, the purpose of that veil is complete, and the light that once shimmered quietly behind it is ready to move freely through you. As the veil softens and the light moves more freely through you, something unexpected happens. The very clarity you've begun to reclaim brings your attention to an experience you've carried for years, the sense of not quite belonging, of drifting at the edges of human life. of feeling strangely out of place even among people you love. And here, right at this threshold, the paradox reveals itself. What you once interpreted as disconnection was not a flaw in your path. It was the earliest sign that your deeper nature was awakening beneath the surface. You felt different because you were beginning to resonate with a frequency your surroundings could not reflect back to you. You felt untethered because the self you outgrew had not yet dissolved, and the self you were becoming had not yet fully formed. You felt lonely because your inner world was expanding faster than your environment could adapt. In truth, the ache you carried was not the absence of connection, it was the presence of expansion. For many starborn souls, especially those tuned to Pleiadian gentleness, the heart awakens before the mind can interpret what is happening. You feel everything more deeply, but you do not yet understand why. You sense shifts in energy long before they manifest physically, but the meaning arrives slowly. You touch frequencies that feel familiar, yet you cannot place their origin. This creates an internal tension, a sensation of being pulled forward by something you cannot name. You call it longing, you call it confusion, you call it being lost. But beneath every name you gave it, the truth remained unchanged. Your field was preparing for coherence. Feeling lost is not a sign of misalignment. It is the moment before your inner compass activates. It is the space where old identities dissolve and new pathways begin to assemble. It is the clearing of internal space so the next version of you can take shape without obstruction. And yet, when you were inside it, the experience felt heavy. You questioned your direction. You doubted your purpose. You wondered why others seemed comfortable in lives that never quite fit you. But the very reason comfort eluded you was because your system refused to shrink itself to match a smaller frequency. Your sensitivity, the very trait you once tried to hide, was the tuning mechanism guiding you home. This is the paradox. The homesickness you carried was the first evidence that home was getting closer. The dissonance you felt was proof that your old vibration was complete. The emptiness was the spaciousness required for your next identity to emerge. As the veil thinned, that inner ache began to shift, not because the world changed, but because your relationship to the world changed. You started to recognize that the longing was not pointing outward, it was pointing inward. It was not asking you to search for a place. It was asking you to remember a state of being. The paradox resolves itself only when you understand this, your sensitivity, your loneliness, your sense of being different. These were not symptoms of separation. They were signs of resonance. You were not falling out of alignment. You were rising above the version of yourself that no longer matched your original blueprint. Now that your coherence is strengthening, the ache you once carried begins to soften. Instead of emptiness, you feel presence. Instead of disorientation, you feel direction emerging from within. Instead of longing, you feel recognition. The quiet realization that the light you sought has been pressing against the inside of your heart for years. Feeling lost was the beginning of finding yourself. It was never the end, it was always the opening. Recognition, that gentle shift you felt at the close of the last section, becomes the doorway into a deeper understanding of what has been unfolding inside you all along. For if the ache of misalignment was the signal, the mechanism beneath that signal has always been the ancient coding you carry. And now we turn toward those codes, not as abstract ideas, but as living architecture woven into your luminous body. What feels like a sudden awakening is rarely sudden. It is the moment a long-hidden seed finally breaks open, just as a seed waits beneath the soil, gathering silent momentum before its first fragile sprout emerges. The energetic instructions within you have been growing in the unseen. They needed pressure. They needed darkness. They needed the strange discomfort of not knowing. All of it created the perfect conditions for the dormant patterns to activate. These codes, crystalline, ancient, and remarkably precise, were placed within your field long before you incarnated. Not by accident, not by whim, and certainly not by an external force imposing its will upon you. They were chosen by your own higher consciousness as markers, timed releases that would dissolve the veil only when your human life had matured enough to hold the next level of remembrance. This is why you couldn't force awakening earlier. This is why no amount of study, seeking, or striving could replicate the timing. A seed does not open because you demand it. It opens when its internal geometry aligns with the conditions around it. And that is exactly what is happening now. The energies rising through Gaia, the shifts in your emotional landscape, the subtle changes in your body, your dreams, your intuition. These are not random events. They are triggers, gentle catalysts pressing against the edges of your dormant coding. Each moment of synchronicity, each inner nudge, each wave of déjà vu is like sunlight warming the soil, urging the seed inside you to expand. Yet the activation does not happen all at once. It unfolds in phases, each unlocking a different facet of your multidimensional nature. This prevents overwhelm. It also ensures integration. Many starborn souls make the mistake of thinking they have missed something or fallen behind because their awakening did not occur on a timetable they expected. But the truth is far more elegant. Every delay, every plateau, every quiet season was a critical part of the germination process. Too much light too soon would have cracked the structure before it was ready. Too much pressure before the foundation was laid would have scattered the energy instead of crystallizing it. Your system has been doing exactly what it was designed to do. And as these codes begin to shimmer awake within you, you may notice certain sensations and expanding warmth in the chest, a gentle pulsing at the base of the spine, moments of heightened perception, waves of emotion with no clear source, or sudden clarity emerging from silence. These experiences are not anomalies. They are the language of activation. The seed inside you is no longer dormant. Its instructions are unfolding. Its geometry is reorganizing your perception, your choices, your direction. You are not becoming someone new. You are allowing what has always been there to rise through the surface of your life. The codes do not give you a destiny, they reveal the one you already carry. They do not impose a mission, they uncover the purpose that has been whispering to you since childhood. They do not create remembrance, they return you to it. And as the layers continue to unlock, the path ahead becomes clearer. Everything inside you has been waiting for this moment of emergence. As the seed of remembrance stirs and its ancient geometry begins to bloom within you, something even more intimate comes into focus. The activation does not rise first in the mind. It does not announce itself through logic or theory. It moves through the heart quietly at first, then unmistakably, until you realize the true portal was never hidden in the stars. It was beating inside your chest the entire time. The tender pulse you sometimes feel, the warmth that spreads without reason, the sudden clarity that arrives between breaths, these are signatures of the heart-field awakening. Not the emotional heart shaped by past wounds, but the deeper crystalline center that has always connected you to your origin. What you are feeling now is coherence forming. When your inner code begins to activate, the heart enters a new rhythm. It becomes the tuning fork of your entire field. It organizes your energy around truth. And the more you breathe into that center, the more it reveals. Your heart carries a geometric intelligence far older than any language your mind can produce. You can think of it as a luminous chamber, a living structure that receives and radiates frequency with exquisite precision. When the mind is uncertain, the heart knows. When the path seems too complex to navigate, the heart simplifies it. When doubt clouds your intuition, the heart cuts through the fog with a single unmistakable resonance. This is why so many of your recent impulses, the urge to rest, the need for distance, the pull toward nature, the desire for stillness have come from deep within. They are part of the heart field reorganization. Your system is making room for the influx of coherence that the next phase requires. And as coherence rises, the heart becomes more than a center of feeling. It becomes a gateway. Through this opening, your higher awareness can finally move through your physical form without distortion. Through this opening, your decisions begin to align with your original blueprint. Through this opening, you access guidance that feels less like information and more like recognition. The way a song feels familiar even when you cannot place where you first heard it. To support this shift, your heart invites you into practices that anchor light into matter. Slow, steady breaths that expand the chest. Moments of silent observation during your day. Simple gestures of compassion, even when no one sees. Touching your own heart when heaviness rises. allowing emotions to pass through without gripping them. Each of these small acts strengthens coherence. Each strengthens the portal. And coherence does something remarkable. It stabilizes the awakening so it does not burn too hot, too fast. It translates multidimensional insight into grounded awareness. It prevents spiritual expansion from becoming dissociation. It ensures that your rising frequency does not pull you away from Earth, but deeper into connection with her. For this is the truth many overlook: higher consciousness does not lift you out of the human world. It allows you to inhabit it more fully. The more your heart aligns with your larger identity, the more present you become. You see clearly. You listen deeply. You act cleanly. You move with intention. You experience the physical world as a sacred extension of your inner field, rather than an obstacle to your evolution. And through this presence, your path becomes simple. Not easy, but simple. The heart reveals the next step, then the next, and each step is coherent because it is rooted not in fear, not in reaction, but in resonance. The heart knows exactly how to guide you into the next iteration of your mission, and it never rushes. It only aligns. This is why the heart is the true portal. Through it, your awakening finds structure. Through it, your purpose finds clarity. Through it, your light finds embodiment. And the more fully you anchor into that coherence, the more the next phase calls you forward. The more fully you anchor into that coherence, the more clearly you begin to sense that something is shifting beneath your everyday life, not around you, but within you. And this brings us to a truth many feel intuitively, yet seldom name. The move you are stepping into is not merely physical. It is energetic. It is embodied. It is the relocation of your consciousness into a higher expression of your own form. This is why the acceleration feels so intimate. This is why the timing feels personal. This is why the call feels like it rises from the inside out. The relocation begins long before any external move. It starts when your inner light chooses to inhabit your body more fully than before. You may notice it in subtle ways: a new steadiness in your breath, a stronger sense of presence in your limbs, a deeper awareness of your surroundings. You may feel drawn to change certain habits or environments, not from discomfort, but because your system can sense which spaces support your expanded frequency and which ones constrict it. This is embodiment at work. Instead of leaving the physical world behind, you are moving deeper into it. Instead of escaping the density, you are harmonizing with it. Instead of rising out of the human journey, you are infusing it with higher light. This is the true relocation. Your higher self steps closer. Your physical self opens wider. Your two layers begin to merge. And when this merging deepens, your external life naturally reorganizes. Not as a forced change, not as a dramatic upheaval, but as a gentle sequence of inner truth, shaping outer reality. The move sooner than expected often manifests through these shifts: relationships realigning, opportunities appearing, certain paths closing, while others open with clarity you cannot ignore. Embodiment makes all these changes possible. It happens when you let your awareness settle fully into your body instead of hovering above it in anticipation or avoidance. It happens when you treat your physical form not as an obstacle to your awakening, but as the vessel through which your awakening expresses itself. It happens when you listen to its signals: the tension, the fatigue, the sparks of excitement, the steady yes that rises from the chest rather than the mind. Your physical body is not separate from your spiritual evolution. It is the landing place for it. When your inner frequency rises, your body must adjust. Muscular patterns shift. Breathing deepens. Emotional residues surface for release. The nervous system learns to hold more light with less effort. And as your body acclimates, your energy naturally seeks environments that support its new rhythm. This is why you may feel the impulse to move homes, change routines, or distance yourself from heavy dynamics. It is not escapism, it is alignment. You are becoming a conduit, a meeting point between Earth and your larger identity, a living bridge connecting your Pleiadian resonance with the human world. And as this embodiment stabilizes, your mission begins to express itself through action rather than concept. Your presence becomes a subtle transmitter. Your words carry coherence. Your choices ripple outward with greater impact. You participate in the physical world with a depth of clarity that only comes when your higher awareness fully inhabits your form. The relocation, then, is not a departure. It is an arrival. You are arriving into yourself, into this world, into the life your soul prepared, long before your mind could comprehend it. You are stepping into a version of you that can carry more light, hold more truth, and move with more purpose. And as embodiment deepens, the next phase approaches the reconnection with the presence that has been with you all along. As embodiment deepens and you arrive more fully in your own field, something long dormant begins to stir in the background of your awareness. The presence you sensed in dreams, the guidance that whispered at the edges of your intuition, the soft impressions that felt like half-remembered conversation, all of it begins to sharpen, not because anything external has changed, but because you have finally reached the frequency where the signal can be heard without distortion. What you once interpreted as distance was actually mismatch. Now, the attunement begins. Your star family does not announce themselves with spectacle. Their presence comes through resonance, subtle, refined, unmistakable when your inner field grows quiet enough to feel it. The moment your embodiment stabilizes, you begin to sense them not as distant beings, but as a familiar warmth that arises from within, as though your own consciousness is remembering how to speak a language you once knew fluently. Contact begins in the heart, not the sky. You might notice gentle synchronicities appearing with increasing rhythm, a symbol repeating throughout your day, a sequence of numbers arriving with uncanny timing, a song lyric that feels like it carries an encoded message. These are not coincidences, they are calibrations. They are the universe adjusting your awareness to notice the frequencies you used to overlook. Your dreams may shift as well. What once felt symbolic now feels relational. What once felt like fragments now carries continuity. You may wake with impressions of face you know but cannot name. A phrase that resonates without context. A sensation of having been held in a field of warmth and recognition. These impressions are forms of contact, filtered through the layers you are ready to receive. As your coherence strengthens, the filter thins, and the communication becomes clearer. But the most profound contact happens in silence. When you drop into stillness, even for a single breath, you may feel a subtle expansion in your chest, as though your awareness is being gently embraced from the inside. You might feel a pulse of recognition behind your sternum, or a quiet presence that rests on your back like a hand of reassurance. These sensations are not imagination. They are responses, signals, meeting signals, resonance meeting resonance. Your star family is not reaching down to you. They are reaching through you, because they are not separate from your consciousness. They are extensions of it. They communicate in the language of intuition, alignment, and inner knowing. And as your embodied vibration rises, you become a clearer channel for that communication. Not in the performative sense, not as a role, but as a natural byproduct of coherence. This is why rushing contact never works. The mind demands signposts. The heart requires resonance. When resonance is stable, contact is inevitable. And as this inner attunement strengthens, your guidance shifts. You no longer receive sporadic nudges. You feel continuous presence. You no longer rely on external signs. You perceive internal alignment. You no longer question whether you are supported. You sense the steady companionship woven through every moment. Star family contact is less about seeing and more about remembering. Less about summoning and more about opening. Less about looking outward and more about turning inward to the frequency that has always lived inside you. Now that your field is expanding, the presence you once felt only in glimpses begins to step forward, not as beings descending from elsewhere, but as the parts of your cosmic identity rising to meet you. And with that rising, another transformation begins, the merging of the human and the star-born self into a unified expression. As the presence that once flickered at the edges of your perception now rises to meet you, a deeper evolution begins to unfold. The contact you feel within warm, steady, familiar is not just connection. It is convergence. It is the moment when the parts of you that lived separately for so long finally begin to recognize each other, not as strangers, but as facets of one luminous identity. The merging starts softly, a quiet sense of inner alignment, a steadiness in your breath, a feeling of I am here that anchors into your cells. This is the phase where the human self and the starborn self stop orbiting each other and begin to weave into a single expression, not one overpowering the other, not one replacing the other, but both aligning through a gentle and deliberate union. You are not meant to abandon your humanity. You are meant to illuminate it. The starborn aspect carries your ancient memory, your expanded perception, your vastness. The human aspect carries your lived experience, your compassion, your grounding. Together, they create a wholeness neither could hold alone. This merging dissolves the inner split you may have carried for years, the feeling of having one foot in the cosmos and one foot on Earth. Unsure which world you belong to, you begin to realize the division was never real. The separation was part of the immersion, not the truth. You were always one being expressing through multiple layers, and now those layers are aligning. You may notice your intuition becoming quieter but more accurate, less dramatic and more precise. You may notice your emotions becoming clearer, not because you feel less, but because you feel from a grounded center instead of from fragmentation. You may notice your decisions flowing with less hesitation, as though both aspects of your identity are finally pulling in the same direction. This unity creates a form of authority, not dominance, but coherence, a knowing that does not need to be loud, a clarity that does not need to be justified, a presence that speaks even when you are silent. In this unified state, you move differently through the world. Your actions feel intentional, your words carry resonance, your energy stabilizes spaces around you without effort, and others notice. They may not know why they feel calmer near you, or why they sense something steady and luminous in your presence, but they respond to it instinctively. This is because unity within creates coherence without. Your inner alignment radiates outward as a field that others can feel, even if they cannot articulate it. You become a living bridge not in metaphor, but in frequency, a convergence point between what is earthly and what is cosmic, a stabilizing force for those who are awakening behind you. And as this inner union strengthens, something remarkable happens. Your path becomes unmistakably clear, not because all obstacles vanish, but because you can now sense which direction carries resonance and which does not. You feel the subtle pull of alignment guiding your choices. You trust your inner direction as much as your outer steps. The illusion of fragmentation fades. The old identity softens. The new self, the unified self, begins to move forward. In this state, you no longer chase purpose. You emanate it. You no longer reach for guidance. You live inside it. You no longer wait for alignment. You are alignment. And this newly integrated presence prepares you for the final movement, the moment where trust becomes the stabilizing force of your entire path. As the unified self steps forward steady, clear, whole, the final movement begins to reveal itself. The convergence you felt in the last section naturally leads into a deeper truth once the inner split dissolves. Trust becomes less of a virtue and more of a structural frequency. It stops being something you try to cultivate and becomes something you naturally embody. You no longer depend on signs to reassure you. You are the reassurance. You no longer ask whether you are on the right path. Your presence confirms it. Trust, in this phase, is not passive. It is not surrendering control out of exhaustion or uncertainty. It is the recognition that your inner alignment is already shaping the outer world. The flow you are learning to trust is not an external current dragging you into the unknown. It is the movement of your own expanded consciousness, guiding your human steps with a precision your mind could never replicate. This is why the more integrated you become, the more your path seems to unfold with gentle inevitability. Choices that once felt heavy now feel obvious. Directions that once frightened you now feel natural. What previously required courage now feels like recognition. You begin to see how every apparent delay, every detour, every moment of uncertainty was part of a choreography far more intricate than you understood at the time. What once felt like stagnation now appears as preparation. What once felt like confusion now reveals itself as gestation. What once felt like wandering now looks like perfect positioning. The divine flow was not withholding, it was aligning. And now that alignment is reaching maturity, in this stage, trust becomes spacious. You stop gripping outcomes. You stop resisting timing. You stop negotiating with your intuition. Instead, you allow movement to unfold the way breath unfolds naturally, rhythmically, without strain. You follow inner direction not because you fear consequences, but because resonance becomes unmistakable. You know when something is meant for you by the way your chest softens, the way your body relaxes, the way your mind quiets. And when something is not aligned, you feel it just as clearly: a subtle constriction, a fog around the intuition, a heaviness that refuses to lift. Trust means listening to these cues without forcing the mind to justify them. Trust also becomes relational. You feel guided not by an external authority, but by a companionship woven through your consciousness, your star family, your higher aspects, the living intelligence of Gaia. Their presence becomes less like instruction and more like a melody your heart remembers how to follow. You are no longer waiting for signs. You are co-creating with the field that once felt unreachable. And this is where a profound liberation emerges. You no longer fear uncertainty. You no longer fear timing. You no longer fear your own power. Because you finally understand that the same intelligence that orchestrated your awakening is orchestrating your path forward. This trust does not remove challenges, but it transforms how you meet them. Instead of bracing against life, you move with it. Instead of contracting in fear, you expand into coherence. Instead of questioning your worth, you step into the truth that has been rising through every layer of this journey. You were designed for this moment. The divine flow is not something outside you. It is the rhythm of your unified self in motion. It is the natural cadence of your awakened heart guiding your next chapter into form. And now, with trust as your foundation, you are ready to step into what comes next. And now, as trust becomes the quiet foundation beneath every breath you take, the entire journey begins to settle into your system, like a warm current moving through still water. Nothing is rushing, nothing is pulling. The path that once felt vast and overwhelming now feels intimate, familiar, shaped by the rhythm of your own coherence. You have walked through acceleration, remembrance, embodiment, and union not by reaching outward, but by returning inward to the place where your truest guidance has always lived. And from this place, the noise of the world softens. The mind loosens its grip. The heart becomes spacious enough to hold both your humanity and your star-born nature without conflict. In this quiet, you realize something profound. You are no longer searching for confirmation. You are no longer waiting for permission. You are no longer standing outside your own unfolding. You are inside your path now, fully, consciously, gently. The movement ahead may still carry unknowns, but the unknown no longer feels threatening. It feels alive, like fertile ground waiting for your next step. You don't need to map the entire road. You only need to feel for the resonance that rises from your chest, the subtle warmth that tells you, yes, this is mine. And whenever doubt flickers, as it naturally will, you can return to the steady pulse of your heart field. Allow a single breath to open space. Place your hand over your chest if it helps. Feel the coherence you've cultivated. Feel the presence that walks with you. Feel the recognition that has grown with every phase of this journey. You are not moving blindly. You are moving with companionship. You are moving with memory. You are moving with light. Carry that into the next moment, and the next, not as a task, but as a natural expression of who you have become. Your path is not beginning someday in the future. It is unfolding now, in the quiet strength of your presence and in the gentle certainty rising through your field. You are ready. You are aligned. You are home within yourself,